Let it be known that the brazenness and the insolence of both the Bahmani and the Vijayanagara kingdoms has not gone unnoticed by the Delhi Sultanate. Soon we're going to show both you... What? The Mongols? They're here again. Lovely. Bahmani, Vijayanagara, you two sit in that temple in that fort and you do not move, and you do not talk to each other, and you do not touch any of my tributaries. I'll be right back. For Game of the Week, this week, come with me to 13th century India for Vijayanagara, Deccan empires of medieval India, 1290 to 1398. A lot of fuckery can go on in that much time.
Half-past despicable, last man to bring it through. Fast raps and critical stats, analytical slap. I'm hitting you smack. I'm sticking you smack lips to stack chips, all with the lyrical technique.
Welcome to Breakup Gaming Society, a solo podcast about board games, booze, and hip-hop, done from a comedic, autobiographical, and melancholic perspective sometimes. I'm your host, the Colonel Hector Bravado from Starkville, Colorado, bidding you welcome to episode 95. This is where I usually plug the goodies I give to people who support the show. Not this time. Today I learned about a podcast called War with a Mate. These are two dudes in the UK, I think, who have committed to scaling Hex Encounter Board Gaming's unreachable peak, SPI's The Campaign for North Africa. The fact that this game was ever made is insane. I mean, the playtesting team supposedly quit and told the designer he'd composed the unplayable symphony. But these guys are trying it and documenting it. So I'm going on record. If you pull this off, Breakup Gaming Society pledges $100 with the understanding that you will complete the entire game, determine a victor according to what the rules call for, and keep documenting it. Who knows, maybe this gets legs in the wargaming community, and when you cross the finish line, you have a slush fund for the extensive psychiatric bills you will inevitably incur. So there you go. Starkville has a Benjamin on this. Good hunting, you fucking lunatics. On to more modest feats. Episode 95 of this podcast. Drink of the week. I drank 4 different things last week and could barely come up with an adequate sentence about the whole thing. So while I look up interesting recipes for the neglected bottles on my shelf, I do perfunctory notes about Sam Adams Summer Ale, Stella Artois, and Hurradurra Reposado. Games of the week. I'm extremely excited about what I've learned so far about Vijayanagara, Deccan empires of medieval India. It's both a dazzling first experience in the coin/ICS asymmetrical historical wargame experience, and it's just given me a ruthless Megatron boner I haven't had since the glory days of the old group in Colorado Springs and stomping each other out in Chaos in the Old World, Cyclades, Dominant Species, and Game of Thrones 2nd Edition. And because, just like last summer, I'm playing more than I'm posting, we're also going to have a preview of Sykes-Picot, a board game about the European powers who carved up the Ottoman Empire after World War I, and we're going to see what contributing writer Fritz Godard is going to play this summer. He's caught the bug, and he's running around buying games on his own. Crazy guy. So this is a big deal because, I threw his first ever solo game at him a few months ago. I've also just completed another room encounter and dwelling that I obsessed way too much over, but it came out pretty good. We're going to give you a teaser of that one. Track of the week. We're going to smooth out your summer with a beautiful track by the Herbaliser that features UK mic legend Roots Manuva. But first, drink of the week. Bottoms up.
I kicked it, I kicked it, come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Genghis Khan.
I hit one of those moments where I realize I haven't seen anybody but a cashier for 3 days, so I go downtown to socialize. And by socialize, I mean post up by myself in the lobby of the local Hilton Gardens and work on a scene from Dwelling, the solo RPG we started a few episodes back. There's a new scene in the story ready for you, by the way. We're going to tease that in Game of the Week, like I just said, or you can read it on the blog right now. The living room of the Fortress Monastery in Starkville gets intolerably hot, so I drive down to the hotel. I order some wings, watch the local family of note, the Chiminos, conduct a large summer reunion on the hotel grounds which spills into every corner of the place. I write, watch a few rounds of golf, and have one of the bar's $3.99 pints, Sam Adams Summer Ale, which is fine. It is something to do while I watched the hotel grounds with my left eye, waiting for the evening sun to weaken. I am not going home while the sun still fixes its baleful eye on my little house. If it doesn't transport you, it's not worth anything, Augustus Crimes once said during one of our late-night drunken trivia sessions from last summer. I'd shown him a song I thought was amazing. He was indifferent. I got over my hurt feelings and have been noticing the same polarity in myself. I'm either enthralled or indifferent to the point of contempt with most of the things or people I experience. Anything in the middle barely registers. Like the bottle of Hurradurra Reposado that I snag on the way home because it seems like a good midpoint between the whiskeys of winter and the vodkas of high summer. It's fine. I think I reviewed a whole Hurradurra gift pack once on this show. I didn't do a great job reviewing it, but it was at least laudable for the fact that, I attacked 4 gift bottles in a row. But this time, I am bored from the minute I unscrew the plastic cap. The first sip registers like cat spray before I get to its roundness a few drinks later. Again, it's fine. It has levels. I don't care. I have nothing to say about this drink that anybody needs to hear right now. In an upcoming episode, however, I'm going to dump it into a Paloma, which might be worth talking about as I've never had one of those, and building something with fresh juices and tequila sounds like a step up. When I get home, I rummage through the fridge and find a Stella Artois that my college buddy Bates left after his visit last week. It's been many years since I messed with a Stella, and now I'm wishing I had more of them. No, wait, I just changed my mind. Had my 3rd sip, and now its crisp lager flavor is oppressive, and I'm fidgety again. I've got a buzz, but I'm still not engaged. However, being a true bro, Batesy also dropped off a bottle of West Bottoms Kansas City whiskey that he picked up in Missouri. We tried it the night he got here, but I was just too blank with exhaustion after doing tasks all day, then cooking in the heat and stuffing my face. You know you're over it when the drink hits your lips and the only thing you can think is, it's fucking bedtime. Gonna give that another pour in a future episode when I'm not wiped out, overheated, and cranky. Soda review. Sam Adams Summer Ale. Pretty good for $3.99 a pint when you can watch families linger together at dusk next to the Purgatoire River, everything green above, and remember that time when, even though you'd been jumping in and out of the pool and running around in the heat all day, you're tired, but you don't know it until your parents feed you and force you to stop moving and you fall asleep in a pile on the hotel bed approximately 13 seconds into your favorite show. Hurradurra Reposado. Again, I'm going to finish the bottle at some point, but tonight, this is not the gateway to anything except elevated blood alcohol content. Stella Artois. I think I just changed my mind. It tastes good again by the end of these notes. Anyway, next, a roundup of games and people because, just like last summer, I'm playing a lot faster than I'm recording, but the centerpiece takes place in medieval India. Here comes Game of the Week, gang.
I kicked it, yup, I kicked it. Come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Genghis Khan.
So, as it turns out, when you're playing as the Sultanate in Vijayanagara, Deccan empires of medieval India from GMT Games, your enemies, the Bahmani and the Vijayanagara kingdoms, will not sit politely and behave while you try to beat back Tamerlane and his Mongol horsemen, who show up a few times during the game to wreck your shit. The challenger Bahmani and Vijayanagara forces start out the game like small rashes you notice on your arm before you go to bed. Then the iron-fisted bastards who were running Delhi during the opening game give way to a new regime, and you wake up covered in rashes. By mid-game, regions that were firmly loyal are answering to new rajas and emirs as they build their power bases, turning your vassals into theirs and hollowing out your tax base. Your dreamy days of commissioning lavish minarets and creating fountains of cash from whichever tributary you squeeze are coming to an end. Vijayanagara is built on a game system called the Irregular Conflicts Series, which is in turn child of an older system called the Counterinsurgency or Coin Series. These game systems let you step into a given era of historical conflict and take the part of a major faction or nation in one of these struggles. The game arc can span decades or even centuries in just an afternoon. You will be subject to the major economic, cultural, and military inflection points of the time. Succession crises, invasions, new technology, and more reel off the event card deck that gets rolled every turn. So, can you ride the turmoil or be engulfed by it when, for example, the diamond mines of Golconda start kicking out loot, or when a sultanate army wanders off into the Hindu Kush Mountains and vanishes. Each of these let opportunists destabilize your position or vice versa. So the event cards, during which each of the three factions usually get a chance to capitalize, kick off the excitingly stingy ration of actions, along with the anxious scarcity created by the game's action bidding system. Each faction has its own powerful commands that you can activate to take territory or secure your sphere of influence on the beautiful map, but taking the most powerful options means you're sitting out the next turn. Do you take a less powerful action in order to stay in the flow, or accept the forced cooldown so you can make a bigger dent in the board right now? It's not easy. While the Sultanate has a pretty firm grip up north, you share lots of borders with your hungry upstart neighbors down south, and they're going to eat. And like I said before, there's also the Mongols to think about. The Timurrid Empire was routinely stomping through northern India, and I know they're going to launch a big assault for the game finale. I have more than 200,000 troops in Delhi, and I'm dying to head south into the Malwa district and stomp out the Bahmanis there and just tear down every brick of the annoying fort they built, but I feel handcuffed because it's the home stretch, and Tamerlane could pull up on me any minute along with his many, many eager riders. Unless I catch a lucky event, it would take me a whole turn to march down to Malwa, another whole turn to attack. I already spent a turn there executing some sassy Rajas and turning Malwa back into a tributary, but now they've booted out my governors in the Rajput kingdoms. The array of forces in Vijayanagara are never clean. Pieces from multiple factions can commingle in even the same space for several turns, vibrating with menace and potential chaos. More than once I'd log on to take a turn after half a day and see that previously compliant regions had erupted into full-scale naughtiness and the game had a whole new face. Imagine a busy lunch spot with one of those big communal tables, except everybody at the table that has a gun next to their plate, and they're just staring you down while you try to read the menu. The game is full of moments like this, and they get brighter and bloodier down the home stretch. So as I write this, the Vijayanagara have 10 victory points, and the Bahmani and my Sultanate are tied at 9 apiece. In one sense, I'm on pins and needles. On the other hand, I'm just happy to still be in it as a rookie, even with my dynasty's best days, by design, far behind it. On a wider note, this experience is giving me a taste of those glorious knife fight in a phone booth nights I haven't had since my last games of Chaos in the Old World and Game of Thrones 2nd Edition and Cyclades, when you made that first big leap from Risk's modeling of dudes on a map to see just how deliciously fraught a territory control game can be. There's some things that solo play just can't duplicate. That feeling of peril and people pushing against you, triggering 3 setbacks on any given day when you've got the resources only to stop one. That sick feeling of watching yourself dip on the victory point track and realizing the best you can do is lash out at somebody because you wrong-footed yourself 2 turns ago. So because we're playing online via rallythetroops.com and our players are in the US, Canada, and Poland, it can be quite a bit of time between turns. That's okay, because being able to quickly pop up the rules and reference cards from your Rally the Troops game room and do some reading at your leisure is a big plus. The implementation of this game is just lovely. The prompts and the highlights, the game feeds you on your turn, the game log that shows you what just happened all feels very tight and helps you quickly understand the what and how of executing a turn, even if strategy comes slowly. I highly recommend taking a look at the really well-thought-out collection of small games here. So, laurels for Rally the Troops, and thanks to my patient opponents, Dave of Dude Take Your Turn and Michael of the Board Game Chronicles, who have been merrily carving off chunks of my Sultanate for 10-plus days now. Best hazing ritual ever. I'm eager for the chance to apply what I've learned for a second try at running the Sultanate a little better. I also want the physical copy of this one because it plays solo too, but last I looked, first printing was such a big hit that I saw a copy, I was shopping them, and I saw a copy for $300. GMT Games, the publisher, has their own in-house kind of crowdfunding mechanism with its P500 series. If 500 people pledge at a price well below retail, it gets a second printing. Right now it's just over 200, so if a couple of my listeners could just head over to the GMT website and pledge a few hundred copies, that would be really convenient for me. So other things on or about to be on Breakup Gaming Society on our table in July and beyond. Dwelling, the solo RPG for ghosts. A couple episodes ago, I published my first few rooms of encounters from Dwelling, a solo journaling RPG where the narrator inherits a house infested with spirits and wanders around meeting them on a sleepless night. After obsessing about it for way too long, I just published the next installment, a living room encounter where my character watches in awe as his old high school flame materializes on the couch. The TV comes on and starts showing him stuff he does not want to see, such as a girlfriend in the early throes of a gambling addiction leave him in a hotel room to go wager more on a morning in which they've already been on the casino floor all night. Quote, "What is sold to you is fun under the dead sun and the concrete. She is as calm as a cultist. There's no need for a fight because there's nothing to fight about. She is going to walk right back into the heart of that thing that whispers in the spaces between $1 coins hitting the metal troughs, throbs behind the lit ad panels, their jumbo lobsters and necropolis summers, gurgles beneath the green water that conjures the free 11:15 show up out of the synthetic lagoon." End quote. You can read or listen to the rest of the living room encounter right now on the BreakupGamingSociety.com blog. Also coming up for July, a chat with Justin Cram of Florida-based Shit Show Creative starts with childhood memories of playing Axis and Allies and goes far afield. I'm editing that audio still for inclusion in both a near-future episode and the blog. Sykes-Picot, the secret treaty to partition the Ottoman Empire. I am way overdue to experience a title from Hollandspiel Games, and I'm waiting for my copy of this two-player game where you get to play one of the two European diplomats who, at the end of World War I, broke out markers and carved up the Middle East, which was a disaster for the people who had to live in some of the countries that they just made up. Hollandspiel releases lots of iconoclastic takes on historical war and strategy games, bringing the commentary about empire and death right into the working foreground of the game. This sounds like gallows humor and satire side by side with a strategy game where you don't seem strictly straitjacketed by the logic of the historical actors. You'll know more when I do. Also, Canvas, Grove, and Final Girl. If you missed the announcement on NPR, guest writer Fritz Godard has won the first ever Artist in Residency grant for Breakup Gaming Society, meaning he will spend the rest of the summer treating brown recluse bites with topical whiskey and learning how to shower outside with a hose. He just reported that he has acquired 1. Canvas, a solo-friendly abstract strategy card game in which you're an artist who scores by assembling cards into paintings. He also picked up Grove, a title from 2022. It's a party game depicting a struggle for power in a fantasy setting. And to top it all off, I'm so proud of my boy. He now has his own Final Girl core set. He loved it when I showed him a few turns of how it worked with my Madness in the Dark module. That's the only scenario I've ever played. He told me he had his eye on that one that's based on The Thing from John Carpenter in 1982, so I'm excited to report again on this franchise from the perspective of a different player. So, in recognition of the expenses incurred by Fritz with these games, I am altering the terms of Fritz's creative residency. His monthly stipend for smokes and Bud Light Chiladas at the Shell station is being increased to $33 a week. It's time for Track of the Week. Gonna make you feel good.
I kicked it, yup, I kicked it. Come on, you couldn't bang with this if your name was Genghis Khan.
I thought for sure my speakers were bound for a summer of belligerence when I got on that hardcore 90s New York kick a couple weeks ago, but something else beckoned to me last week and drew me in. It was a cut from the Herbaliser, a music and sampling-obsessed duo from the UK that eventually acquired a full accompanying band for live performances. Nothing that starts this way can ever end badly.
Yes.
So these dudes were on the Ninja Tune label, which was founded by Matt Black and Jonathan Moore of Cold Cut. This stable of artists was a supercell of playful experimentations in hip-hop, trip-hop, dub, and multiple flavors of electronica. You can feel, as if you sample their various acts, the emphasis on creativity that Cold Cut wanted to enable. I've been putting more Herbaliser tracks into my master playlist. It's hard to get onto this playlist, and it's even harder to stay. I keep checking for more Herbaliser stuff because their angle nods heavily to the jazz sample-driven and drums of early 90s, boom bap, but with an extra layer of dreaminess and fastidious small touches, like the sounds they get out of the backing percussion hits in this one. It marks it as more than just true school revival or mimicry. It's approachable and warm enough to position in the background when friends come over for evening cocktails, rich and exacting enough to study in the foreground while you head bob, and energetic enough to dance depending on the cut. And that these people are craftsmen, and they're not alone because Roots Manuva rhymes on this one. Another Ninja Tune label artist and one of the UK's most influential mic slingers and producers. Make yourself known, Mr. Manuva.
Smile, Smith, pepper grain quiff, whacking it for 4, smacking it for 6. Armchair critics be yelling out fix, even though they know we don't spar with Jim. So the score in a dream, place a bit and we grit. From we lose or win, it's the same damn thing. It's a need for space, peace and time. We sit back, relax and cool recline, and we think of Starlight.
What a voice. What a presence. The more this guy pops up in my throwback listening, the more I appreciate his craft. His bars vibrate like a rich reed instrument. It usually takes me a few listens to retune my ear for the Jamaican accent, but when I do, I hear the lyrics of an artist at work every time. This guy just sounds supremely centered, dishing out sly wisdom, joy, and swagger that all projects strength and authenticity. Roots Manuva is still listed on the Ninja Tune label to this day. I've been reading about the breadth of his influence across the pond, but you don't need a search engine to know you're listening to a guy whose rhymes keep time with a fierce and distinct inner drum. That's the end of episode 95. Breakup Gaming Society will be back in mid-July. Visit the blog to hear the latest installment from my adventures in the Dwelling RPG, or check in on the 80s comics giveaway I'm doing for people who come in at the $20 level or more. Until next time, I remain your host and friend, the Colonel Hector Bravado in Starkville, Colorado. May you fight long and well.